Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Joe Ellis. I'm a commercial wedding and portrait photographer, and today we're doing an update on what's in my bag. Okay, so a little more than a year ago, I did a what's in my bag for shooting weddings with your Olympus gear. And in that time, I've made some pretty big changes to what's in my kit, so I thought it'd be a good time to kind of update that for you guys and talk about the gear that I have changed out and what I'm kind of currently working with and why that is. So the first thing, of course, is that I did move from using the EM1 Mark II, I had a pair of those, to using a pair of EM1Xs. And these EM1Xs are a nice improvement from the EM1 Mark II for shooting weddings. You know, for me, it kind of boils down to maybe three things that are the most important to me. The first one is the autofocus system. It's a little bit quicker. It's especially a little bit quicker when you're shooting in super low light conditions and you're tracking focus. So what I mean by that is, like, let's say you're working in a really dark church environment and you've got a 75 1.8 on your camera already, and you're tracking a bride and groom walking quickly back up the aisle at you. You're going to get a few more winners with the EM1X than you would with the EM1 Mark II. It's not a huge difference. I still got enough winners with either camera to easily be able to cover the job, but this one's a little more sure-footed in that way. So that's been a big improvement. I like the ergonomics of the camera. The way the buttons and things feel when you have your eye up to the camera is a little bit easier to handle this camera. Especially like the joystick on the back for moving focus points has been a big improvement. And then the third thing is just the overall speed. With having dual processors in this camera, I can have both cards shooting at the same UHS-2 speeds. And if I'm shooting photographs and I let off to let the camera buffer the images onto the cards, I can still make changes to the camera's settings and still keep working instead of having the camera have to stop and kind of wait for that buffer to clear. All those things are minor improvements. I don't want to shy anyone away from shooting with the EM1 Mark II for weddings. I think it does a fantastic job. But if you're looking for the reasons why you could move to the EM1X, those are the ones that have made the biggest difference for me over the last 15 or so weddings I've been working with these cameras. Okay, so that's the EM1X. I have two of those in my bag. And everything I do for weddings is kind of built around this idea of redundancy. So I have 6 primary lenses that I work with. I have 3 f2.8 zooms, and those have remained the same. So you have the bread and butter of almost any professional photographer out there shooting portraits. You have the 40 to 150 f2.8 Pro. I love this lens. It shoots ceremonies, it shoots engagement portraits, it shoots pretty much anything you can throw at it. I don't tend to use it for receptions or getting ready just because it's a little bit big and intimidating for people. But if I need the reach, it's there for me. I especially love the Olympus camera system for giving me this lens because at 150 millimeters, the field of view is so nice and tight, and you can make incredible ceremony images with this lens because you can get all the way into really nice tight shots from a distance, while still only weighing a couple of pounds. But among all of my Olympus lenses, this is the biggest and most intimidating, so I don't tend to use it in real intimate situations. So that's the 40 to 150. Of course, brother to that is the 7 to 14. This is Olympus's ultra-wide lens, and this has been a real workhorse for me. I would say among my wide angles, it's a very close split between this lens and the 17 millimeter f1.2 Pro. This lens handles scene setters, it handles some group photographs, it handles reception details and rooms, it handles dancing, it handles even a lot of portraiture. Believe it or not, this is one of the key lenses I have in my kit when I'm out shooting engagement portraits. Just because I like to do sort of ultra-wide perspectives in terms of putting, a small couple in a larger landscape. And this will immediately get me there. I love the 7 to 14 f2.8 Pro. And then the third one is a change. Last year I was working with the 12 to 40 f2.8 Pro, and that is a wonderful lens. It's a lens I use a lot now for video, and it's definitely a workhorse. And so if you're stepping into the Olympus Pro lens lineup, the 12 to 40 it can oftentimes, because of its price point and things like that, be a great place to start. But I actually moved to using the 12 to 100 f4 Pro IS instead of the 12 to 40 for my wedding kit. And the main reason is I like the, if I'm working in light conditions, that this lens works. I love the versatility of it. I think that moving between 12 and 100 millimeters means I can frame everything from a large group to a small group to a tight head and shoulders or waist up portrait of a family without having to move my body very much with the 12 to 100. And this lens also is just freaky amazing at having dual IS. And so if you are out wanting to shoot portraits at night, I actually have more confidence in this lens and its dual IS than I do trying to shoot at f1.2, for example. I can shoot for seconds of time with this lens and dual IS and bring in a lot of light from a night scene, still maintaining that f4 aperture, which means I don't have to worry so much about the focus. So this lens has been ultra sharp, very reliable, focuses instantaneously for me, and is definitely a wonderful lens. It doesn't get that much use on the wedding day. The primary use of this lens on a wedding day is to shoot the family and group portraits at the altar after the ceremony, and that's basically it. But if I need it for that dual IS reasons, or if I'm in a bright, like a ranch wedding or sometime where I'm outside and I'm working in nice bright light, I will oftentimes have this on one of my camera bodies just for the sheer versatility of it. Okay, so those are my zoom lenses. I guess they're not all f2.8 anymore, but these lenses are everything that you need, every focal length that you would need to shoot a wedding, and they're probably the first ones that I would buy. Of course, working weddings means working in low light, and if you want to work with available light, or you want to be able to, blur backgrounds with small prime lenses, then you're going to add to your kit from here. But a lot of people work with mostly these like 99% of the time. For me, these are probably less used than my primes, but each one of these lenses fills a role that is super unique and very important to me in terms of the breadth of coverage that I'm able to give a couple from a wedding. So these are my zoom lenses. So I'll put these back in the case here. And then the 3 Pro primes are my kind of bread and butter lenses. And that would be this one, which is the 45mm f1.2. And then, of course, the 17mm 1.2 and the 25mm f1.2. So I've been over these again in a different video, and nothing has changed here and nothing ever will, because these lenses are pretty close to perfect. The main advantage of these 3 lenses is that each one of them is very, very sharp, wide open f1.2. And that gives me a very nice ability to blur the background when I want to. They all focus instantaneously. I never had any issues with those. They track focus very well. They do video really well. Each one of them shoots portraits really well. And so these are the ones that are kind of my go-tos for most of the wedding day. One of my camera bodies usually has the 17 on it, and then the other camera body has either the 25 or the 45. And I gotta say that my preferences for that really drift throughout the year. Sometimes I'm very much in favor of shooting with the 45. Other weddings, I get a ton of use out of the 25. If you are building your kit and you have some of, let's say, the Pro Zooms, and you're like, I'm gonna get into using primes, I think the 25 is a great place to start. It is a real chameleon of a lens because you can do full-length portraits, half-length portraits, close-ups, dancing photographs. There's nothing that this 25mm lens really can't do on a wedding day. The difference between it and the 45 is not ginormous. The 45 offers a little bit more compression, so a little bit maybe slightly better in terms of the way that it renders features and things like that, but it's not such a huge difference that I would really get too caught up in it. What I like about the 45 is it gives a little extra reach. So if you're shooting hair and makeup, you don't have to be as close, don't get as much distortion, that kind of thing. If you're shooting speeches or cake cuttings, things like that, then the 45 gives you a little bit more working distance. And then the 17, this is like your bread and butter journalism lens. This plus an Olympus camera with a silent shutter is absolutely money in terms of being able to capture real beautiful emotional moments and to have a nice context in terms of what's in the foreground, background of your images. The 17 is a beautiful perspective and it works not only in tight quarters but up close on people, and I just absolutely adore the 17. It's also extremely, extremely sharp. So these are the Pro Primes. Okay, so I'm just gonna drop these back in. Now I carry 2 specialty lenses with me to every wedding, and they just have a couple of very specific roles. The one of them that is just absolutely critical though, for me, is, in terms of my peace of mind, is this lens here, which is the 75mm f1.8. This lens, I've already explained to people, and I continue to online a lot, is very much a get-out-of-jail-free lens when it comes to shooting in really dark scenarios. But it also just offers absolutely outstanding backgrounds if you have the space to use it for portraiture, and it's ultra sharp. So if I am working in a venue where I'm already pushing the ISO up to 3200 or 6400 for various reasons, and I need to buy myself some more light, this is my first go-to. And so, I think it's a stop and a half faster than a 2.8 zoom. So that gives you quite a bit of extra latitude in terms of bringing your ISO down or bringing your shutter speed up. And so shooting this lens wide open is no problem, and I will use this lens as often as I possibly can. It's not quite as versatile as the 40-150, but between this and the 45, you have a lot of what that offers, and still gives you that flexibility to work in even lower light conditions. So I absolutely adore the 75mm f1.8. Okay, the other one that I carry that I found a lot of uses for, believe it or not, is the f1.8 8mm Pro Fisheye Lens. So the 8mm here is really awesome because of that ultra-wide aperture and the ability of the cameras to de-fish this lens. So if you are shooting from a balcony and want like a huge scene setter, or working the dance floor for some really ridiculous angles, this fisheye lens can give you something that no other lens can do. And the beauty of it is that while you can deliver fisheye images where you have curved horizons, you can also go into Olympus Workspace and de-fish these images to give you a nice straight rectilinear versions of them. And that is actually a huge benefit for me, because let's say I want a nice rectilinear image of a couple running out from a hotel at night, with sparklers or whatever. I really like having that 1.8 available to me if I want an ultra-wide perspective and I still want a rectilinear image. It's still much wider, believe it or not, than the 7-14 if you really want that sort of wide-angle effect. And it is also a very sharp lens, and it doesn't see a ton of use, but instead of like really getting to the point where you're overusing the fisheye nature of it, being able to de-fish this lens really easily and effectively in Olympus software is a huge benefit to having the f1.8 8mm Pro fisheye lens. So that one also sits in my bag. Now, in terms of flashes, there's lots of options. I still have my Godox units. I have been shooting with these a lot though. These are the FL700WR flashes from Olympus. And what I love about these, and I've been reiterating this over and over again, is that this is the only flash system that offers true radio communication between units and also offers an autofocus assist light for working at night. And of course, Olympus, they gave us this, but they gave it to us in sort of a white video light version. So what I have done is taped over the white video lights with an amber gel. And what this gives me is the ability to focus in those low light scenarios with a less sort of intrusive feeling to it. So I get a nice amber light that I can focus with that's very, very similar to the one that comes out of the camera, but with a lot more juice. So if you want to be able to focus on things that are, 3, 5, 10 feet away, and you need a little help in contrast, this will do the trick. And it's been very effective, and that's why I've kind of been working with these flashes. I know that they are expensive. They're quite a bit more than the Godox units, and the Godox units do offer more power and the single recycle rechargeable battery system. And I still use the AD200s as my primary lights for when I am lighting up groups at after the ceremony and whatnot, if my big lights are Godox lights. So, I'm on the fence as to whether or not this is better or worse than just shooting with the BA62Os or the newer round-headed versions I haven't bought yet. And if they had put an autofocus assist light on those, then I would probably be jumping ship right away. But they didn't. They took it out at the last minute, to my understanding. And so that still remains one of my pet peeves in terms of Godox lights. And here's the thing, guys. I don't, need these little lights that much. I don't need that much power to come out of them. And these recycle really well, offer the autofocus assist. And so unless I'm needing to light up the room, if I need to add additional lights on my dance floor because it's just not enough, then I will go to the Godox lights. But if I have a band that already is bringing in lots of lights and strobes and spotlights and things, and I really want to just keep the ambiance of the room intact, I'm just asking for a little bit of light from these flashes. And so these work out really well. And it's always good to have options. So it kind of depends on the wedding a little bit there, but these flashes are tremendously good little flashes. And having them have radio communication between units means that with two of them, I can put one off camera if I need to in a hurry. I always have a light stand available to me at the wedding reception near the band, so that I can quickly throw up a light if I need to for speeches, cake cuttings, first dances, end of the night dances, things like that. So and then, of course, the other thing I've said about these that is absolutely the truth is that these little flashes are just the perfect size for mounting onto Olympus cameras. One of the things we love about our Olympus gear is it's not quite as big and obnoxiously heavy as other systems can be, and these flashes are actually a really great match for the size of your Olympus camera. So if you're looking for a single flash with every available option, the FL700WR is the king of the hill in terms of features for any Olympus flash. And if you do not need the autofocus assist light, then a Godox light is my top of the line choice there. If you are doing everything off camera, I think Godox lights probably still have an advantage. But if you're an on-camera guy or an on and off-camera guy shooting in low-light environments like wedding receptions, then the FL700WR is probably the best flash there is on the market for your Olympus cameras. So that's it for what's in my bag, guys. In terms of shooting weddings right now, my backup camera, of course, is my EM1 Mark II. And these are still brilliant cameras. We still have two of these in our kit. My wife shoots with them too. And if they're not being used for stills, we're oftentimes using them for video. Because, of course, all of these Olympus cameras shoot brilliant Cinema 4K video. And then the other piece of the kit, of course, for shooting video is our audio gear. And I've been doing a full review of this. I really wanted to get a lot of time behind the camera with this so I could offer a great tutorial on it. But this is a little Olympus audio recorder. This is the LSP4. And if you are looking for an audio solution that integrates with your Olympus camera kit really well, this is such a cool thing. This little LSP4 can be used with a lavalier microphone by plugging into the mic jack on the side, and then you can mic up your talent that way. And this tiny little unit just sits in the inside pocket, for example. This guy can also be an ambient recorder, meaning you can just set it up on top of your camera and it will just record whatever you're sort of hearing with your ears. The other thing that this does is that it will act as a shotgun microphone. You can actually go into the menus of this little unit, set it up to kind of narrow the beam of focus for where the audio is coming from. So it'll cut down on the distracting noises coming from the left and the right. The other thing that's brilliant about the LSP4 is that if you have an EM10 Mark III or you have one of the Olympus bodies that does not have the ability to get a shotgun microphone into the camera, doesn't have a mic jack on the side, you can use this guy and very quickly and easily sync up your audio in post. So this tiny little unit sits in the camera bag. We have a couple of these, so we have some backup for when we're doing audio. And the LSP4 has been brilliant in terms of audio quality. It has lossless compression for audio, and with the versatility of these units, when we head into a live situation where we need to gather audio, we have lots and lots of options for what we want to do. So that's the LSP4. This is made by Movo, and what I'll do with this is kind of throw this on here. If I want to have on-camera mic, then I can put that on my hot shoe and kind of have on-camera audio. And this, of course, is a little dead cat for the top of this guy so that you can reduce wind noise and things like that. So that's the LSP4. And then, for the longest time, I've been shooting these cameras at weddings and things, and so I have lots of spare batteries. I usually carry 6 spare batteries in my kit here, along with 2 batteries, of course, in each of the EM1Xs, and then, of course, the EM1 Mark II has a battery in it as well. And then I'll say this, my last little conceit in terms of what I carry to a wedding is I oftentimes have a Pen F with me, and this is my little grab-and-go stash cam. It's the one that I maybe have around my neck while I'm working, and I usually have it with my 25mm f1.8, which is one of my favorite lenses of all time. This little Pen F is just like you put this camera on silent mode, hang it around your neck, and then no matter what sort of happens with your gear, or if you're tired, or if you just want to go really stealth, or if you have big zooms and wide angles on those lenses and you want a quick prime lens to kind of grab a grab shot with, this camera is the perfect thing for that. It's so light, and this lens is so sharp, and being at 1.8, you can work in any light conditions. And so I think the Pen F is like the greatest grab camera that you could possibly have. It has sort of a rangefinder mystique to it. It has a beautiful look to it. I can't say that I don't, not appreciate that. And you can run this camera in aperture priority or in full manual and just kind of use it as your grab cam. So I also carry this with me on a lot of wedding days. So that's what my kit right now, guys, summer 2019. Thanks for watching. Hit me up with comments if you have any questions. And let me know if there's anything that I'm missing that you guys are shooting wedding with or other events and you're in love with. But that's what I've got in my kit at the moment. Of course, we will go over my lighting bag at some point in the future too. It's moved over to the AD200s and various modifiers and other Godox equipment in there. And then, for modifying my flashes, I'll use the Rogue flash benders and the Rogue flash grids and things like that. So we'll get into that at a later date. But that's what's it for now, guys, in my Think Tank Airport International. That's what I'm carrying to weddings in summer 2019. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you guys in the next one.